Superfly. Once you find your trees, the first thing you need to do is attach your guy line to the tree. I've got a piece of guy line here. It's got a loop tied in one end. I'm just going to go around the tree and thread it through itself. You do the same thing at both ends. Once you have your guy line attached to the tree, you're ready to hang the tarp. I'm going to go over a couple different ways to do this. The first way uses a couple quick, simple knots, the slip buntline hitch and a slip trucker's hitch. And then I'm going to show an alternative method that uses a couple different pieces of hardware in substitution for those knots. At the first end of the tarp, you're going to use a slip buntline hitch. I'm using a heavier diameter cord just so you can hopefully see what's going on a little better. I'm going to run the end of the guy line through the ring on the tarp. I'm just going to throw the tail end over twice. Now I'm going to take the tail end of the cord. I'm going to move it down here to the ring, which forms this little triangle shaped hole. I'm just going to pass a bite through that hole and you're done. At this end of the tarp, you're going to tie a slip trucker's hitch. The first step is going to be to tie a slipped overhand knot. This is a good knot to use because you can, when you're done, you can just pull on the line and it pops free. To make this knot, you're just going to twist a loop of cord and then you're going to fold it towards the tarp. If you fold it towards the tree, it doesn't work as well. So take a twist of cord, fold it towards the tarp, and then just pull a bite through, just like that. Do it one more time. Next, I'm going to take the tail end of the line. I'm going to pass it through the split ring on the tarp and then back through the loop that I just made with the slipped overhand knot. This creates a 3-to-1. Now I just pull to adjust. When I get it to where I want to be, I'll just pinch it tight. You kind of have a bundle of 2 lines here, and I'll just tie a slipped half hitch around both of those, just like that. And then just as a little backup, I'm just going to tie another half hitch with the tail. Now I'm going to show an alternative method that uses hardware as a replacement to the slip buntline hitch and the slip trucker's hitch. You're going to attach the guy line to the tree in the same method that I showed earlier. Right here I have a Dutch fly. I've actually been able to thread it onto the split ring itself of the tarp, which is really handy. I'm going to hook the guy line over the hook of the tarp fly, and then I'm just going to wrap around the antenna 2 to 3 times. Now you can use the same method at both ends of the tarp as a substitute for the slipped buntline hitch and the slip trucker's hitch. On this end of the tarp, I've got a tarp key attached to the split ring in the same way. The tarp key can also be used as a substitute for the slip buntline hitch and the trucker's hitch. The substitute for the slip buntline hitch, I'm going to hook the guy line over one of the sides of the anchor shape, and then I'm going to hitch it over just like that. To use it as a substitute for the trucker's hitch, you'll just hook the guy line over one of the sides of the anchor. You'll just wrap it around a few times, and then I'll just hook it over one final time with a half hitch. Once you've got your tarp hung, the next thing you're going to do is attach your guy line to the corners of the tarp. I've got a 6-foot piece of line with a loop in one end. Stick the loop through the triangle ring, and then you're just going to thread one end through the other. This is just a girth hitch. It's really nice because you can take it off really easy. You need to change out to a different length line. I use 6-foot lengths on the ground corners a lot of times and 12-foot lengths on the tree. Once you've got your guy line attached to the tarp, there's a couple methods you can use to attach to the stake. If you use these Y-shaped stakes, one method is to position the Y-shaped stake so that one of the legs of the Y points directly in the direction of the guy line. And then you can just wrap around 1.5 times and then get the first loop to grab and pinch on top of the others. That'll create kind of a self-tightening knot. This works pretty good. I have had them come loose sometimes in real windy weather. Sometimes people just make just a little half hitch over the stake once they got it where they want it to be. Another method that's a little more secure is to just take the line around the stake and then pass it back through the triangle ring on the tarp. This creates a 3-to-1. Just tighten it to where you want it to be, and then you can just wrap it around 3 times or so, and then just tie a slipped half hitch. like so. In windier conditions, you may choose to use the panel pulls to give the tarp a little bit of support in wind. I've got a 12-foot length of guy line with just an overhand loop in the end. I'm going to pass that loop through the panel pull. Just girth hitch it onto the first panel pull. And then I'm going to attach the other end of the line to the other panel pull with a slip bunt line hitch. Now I'm going to take a 6-foot length of cord with a loop in the end. I'm going to girth hitch that onto the middle. And now you want to pull the panel pulls out slightly. You need to pull them out horizontal or slightly up from horizontal. So I'm going to find a stick or a hiking pole that I can prop the cord up with. And I'm just going to stake that down and just pull it out slightly. Some folks ask me how long a line should I use. From the end of the tarp to the tree, I like to use a 12-foot line. A lot of times for the ground corners, I'll use a 6-foot line. On the doors, 4 to 6 foot line. Then this here is a 12-foot line, and then a 6-foot line going to the stake. The method I use to coil my guy line is to just wrap it in a figure 8 method around my fingers like that. It keeps it from getting tangled. The 6-foot and 4-foot lines that I use on the ground corners and the doors, a lot of times I'll just leave those on the tarp, but the longer lines, like the 12-foot lines, it's nice to coil them up. So I'll just use the figure 8 pattern. I'll leave myself about a foot of slack at the end, and just kind of wrap around the middle and just kind of hitch it through itself there.